Welcome back to my channel and my videos. Today I want to talk about the Peugeot 406 Coupe. I hinted to this a couple of weeks ago, and today I really want to go into detail on the build that I have in my mind. So yeah, let's dive straight into it. So for me, the Peugeot 406 Coupe is my absolute dream car. I think it looks fantastic, it drives fantastic, and yeah, ever since I saw the first sketches in '95, I think, yeah, I always said to myself, I want to own one someday. A couple years back, one came along in the color that I wanted, with the interior that I wanted, and for a cheap price because it needed some stuff done for the MOT. And yeah, so I picked it up and started to work on it. So I think I picked the car up in 2016 or 2017, and the first year I basically did a lot of maintenance to it. I had two other cars back then, so I didn't really need it. I could take my time and do some stuff. I collected everything that I needed, so additional interior bits and some tuning parts, and just some upgrades from the V6 version, for example, like the strut bar. And yeah, of course, I started to design the concept of what I wanted to do, how I wanted to change it. Now, looking at the Peugeot 406 Coupe, it is a very well designed car. It's a very balanced car, so you don't really want to do too much to it because then you'll ruin it. And the standard body kits and everything, they don't really do it for me. Maybe for some people they do, but for most people, I think they don't really like it. Um, but yeah, I wanted to do something to it, and I wanted to make it my own, and then the ideas, yeah, basically got going. So as always, as a designer myself, I started to research the lines of the car and started to yeah, get to understand the car. And I did that, of course, long before I even owned one, because yeah, as I mentioned, it's my dream car. I've been working on it for a long time in my head. Um, but man, let me tell you, this car looks fantastic in pictures, but once you wash it for the first time, you absolutely fell in love. I can guarantee you that. The car is so curvaceous, it is so perfectly balanced and so beautiful and so smooth in its lines. It's, yeah, I don't know. It is just, if you wash the car, and I think many people will say that if you wash the car, you fall in love. Um, So yeah, anyway, I washed the car and I did some modifications to it. So I had the 16-inch wheels already bought. I bought that. That was basically my first thing that I bought. I bought the 16-inch Starfish wheels from the V6. I wanted those on the car, and literally like within a month, I bought the entire car, and it already had 16-inch wheels on it. The wheels that were on the car on the inside, they were as black as the tires, so they needed a real good clean, and the wheels that I got were actually quite clean already. Um, and I also then had a fifth spare, so I had 9 wheels, and so I sold this set of 4, but I kept the 5 that I already had. Um, yeah, and then yeah, basically the stuff started that I needed to do. There were some engine modifications that I need, or not modifications, more like yeah, some have-tos. My brake pads were completely gone, and there were some vibrations in the steering wheel and things like that. So we had to change the tires and the wheels. We had to do some suspension work to it, put new brakes on it. A couple months when I was driving it, it failed to go into first and second. So the mechanism of the gear lever broke off. It was luckily just a ball joint that popped out, but it was completely worn out, so I had to order a new one and install that. Yeah, air intake box had to be replaced because the old one was broken, and the pipe was completely rotten away. One of the things is I have a window regulator motor that was broken. In the Netherlands I couldn't find a good one, so what I actually did was I went to the UK and bought one there. Because in the UK the driver's side is the passenger side and the passenger side is the driver's side. There's a big dent in my driver's side wing. I have a new wing, I painted it. I painted some patches on the rear of the car. I have completely repainted the front bumper and closed a lot of the holes because the license plate was drilled like 5 times again and again. So there were like 6, 7 holes on one side for the license plate. So I filled that up, and I made the struts and the splitter. So I had to cut part of the bumper off and to yeah, allow the splitter to be mounted to it. Yeah, so that was basically my first modification. I took the grills out and the fog lights out and also put mesh in that. And yeah, as you can see from the designs that I will show, is what I really wanted to do is make kind of like a drift car. The look. And so I was also thinking of buying one in England, so that the steering wheel's on the other side, so it's like a Japanese car. And then yeah, I want to put a Voltec big double-bladed wing on, carbon fiber wing, and put a big carbon splitter on. I'm already made the carbon lookalike splitter. It's now it's a test version, so it's plexiglass with 4D carbon wrap over it. But yeah, I want to make it out of real carbon and a little bit thicker. Yeah, so that is something I made myself. I put the V6 strut bar on it, and I have coilovers on it from Intrex. They are custom made for my car, and I have 18-inch wheels on it right now. I want to design my own 19-inch, 8 and a little bit in the front, and 10 in the back, or 9.5 in the back. But yeah, the biggest change for me that I want to do is yeah, so the real big change that I want to do is put a LS motor in it. So an LS, as you might know, is a Corvette motor, or you know, it's a V8 aluminium block, and V8. You can find it in any car in America, basically. And but yeah, here in Europe, in the Netherlands, we mostly drive 3 cylinders, 1 liter, 1.2 liter turbocharged engine, and not V8s. So here in the Netherlands, it's extremely difficult to find such an engine and to find a 6-speed manual transmission to go with it, and a CTSV differential with drive shafts and calipers, etc. is also extremely difficult to find here. And but yeah, in America you can of course pick it up on almost on every street corner, it seems. But yeah, so for me that would be my dream car. Convert this one to rear-wheel drive with a big V8 in the front. I think that is how it was supposed to be. The engine bay is big enough. I would really want to put a V8 in it and a 6-speed manual, but yeah, cost-wise at this point in time, with 2 small children and a mortgage, it's not really an option. But yeah, and you might say, okay, but why do you want to put a V8 in it? Why? Well, actually, if you go and look back in the history of car design, what you've seen in the past is that, for example, Pininfarina, who also designed the Peugeot 406 Coupe, and of course a lot of Ferraris, what they tend to do, for example, if you have Isogrivo or some other car manufacturer, there are several, Alfa Romeo also did some, they asked the Italians to design the body, so you have a very elegant body, and then they go to America for a big smooth V8. And so that concept, that is something that has been done a lot in the past. And that's also the reason why I'm okay with that, you know. So the Peugeot on itself is a gorgeous car, but it's front wheel driven, and it just doesn't do it for me. I'm not a speed freak, so it's not about the speed or anything or the power. However, I do love drifting, so I mean, yeah, it would of course be fantastic to go and drift. And furthermore, the other thing is that this car is just, people lower it, but I think they lower it for the pictures and not to drive in it, because I've lowered my car, and as soon as you go like static low, what you would see on a Volkswagen or an air ride car, I mean, this car is just not liking that at all. I mean, you pull the drive shafts from the gearbox and it starts leaking oil. Your sway bars start hitting everywhere. Your drive shafts and your suspension arms start hitting everywhere. So, I mean, with this setup that I have, that I made together with Intrex, I mean, this car can go extremely low. I mean, normally this car can drop in the back, I believe 30 millimeters. I can go 50 or 60 millimeters down in the back. But the only thing that you do is you start hitting the subframes and everything. So then you have to notch the frame and do crazy stuff like that. But still, the problem is your drive shafts. Your drive shafts are just pulled out of the gearbox. So it is not liking lowered, lower life or whatever you want to call it. And yeah, so I have it on a respectable low height, so it's about 2 fingers above the tire. It looks fine. I think it looks like OEM plus. The wheels, of course, yeah, that is you like it or you don't like it. I mean, I'm okay with the wheels. I mean, it's not my first choice, but yeah, I wanted to have some bigger wheels on it, and there's just not a lot of options out there. These wheels that I have were branded for a Citroen, and 18-inch 4x108, and offset is 25. I have 15 mil spacers, so I drive on an offset of 10, and factory wise it's offset 12. So I'm quite close to the offset, and yeah, but then still it's I personally think that 19s look the best on the car. Um, yeah, but and go for a deep dish. Um, if I had to choose a different wheel, I would go with a Japanese Racing. I believe it's the 23 model. It's like a BBS style rim. I normally don't like them, but 19-inch in that style rim, 8.5 in the front, 9.5 in the back, low offset. Yeah, it looks. I have some pictures of cars with those wheels in 19-inch. I think it looks quite good. Um, but yeah, ideally I would have something like Borbet A 3-piece design, and then concave, like the Rota Drift, I believe. It's also a 5-spoke wheel, also concave, but it has narrow spokes, and I would then design my wheels with wide spokes. Um, I've been designing those wheels, and I have looked into it, but yeah, everything is so expensive. If you want to make it yourself, and if you want to design those things, I have the capability to do it, but I mean it's just so freakishly expensive. Um, yeah, so at this point in time, I don't make any money with YouTube, and I think it will be for a long time like this. But yeah, no, I mean, yeah, it is a dream, and it has to be a dream, and maybe one day it will come true. But yeah, that would be my ultimate goal. For now, though, the goals have to be a little bit smaller. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. In the next video about the Peugeot 406 Coupe, I will tell you what I have planned for this year and what parts I already have. And then, yeah, maybe we can dive a little bit deeper into it. If you have any tips, let me know. And yeah, look forward to your reactions. And yeah, see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.